What if your problems aren't random? Imagine this. You're going through your day when suddenly everything falls apart. Your relationship ends, you lose your job, your health fails, and nothing makes sense anymore. Some people face these challenges and transform them into wisdom. Others become bitter and trapped in victim mentality for years. And yet it's often those who embrace difficulties who discover profound growth. Why is that? Is life truly random chaos, or could our problems contain hidden purposes? History, spirituality, psychology. Everywhere you look, evidence suggests that life's challenges aren't accidental. From ancient Buddhist monasteries to modern research, the pattern repeats itself. In a world where suffering is inevitable, those who resist this truth often become frustrated. Meanwhile, those willing to flow with life rather than fight against it discover an unexpected peace. This reality forces us to confront an uncomfortable question. Is our resistance to problems creating more suffering than the problems themselves? The paradox is this. While problems often feel like punishments, they frequently become our greatest teachers. The question isn't just why difficulties arise, but whether they contain wisdom we're too distracted to perceive. To understand why problems aren't random, we must first understand the nature of suffering itself, and to do that, we need to dive into one of Buddhism's most fundamental teachings, the Four Noble Truths. Let's go deeper. Imagine two people facing identical challenges. One resists fiercely, asking, "Why me?" and fighting against reality. The other accepts what's happening, not with resignation, but with curiosity, asking, "What is this teaching me?" Which of these two is more likely to find peace? Which is more likely to grow? The Buddha observed that our relationship to problems determines our suffering far more than the problems themselves. He didn't discover a way to eliminate life's challenges. He discovered a way to relate to them differently. At the heart of his teaching, suffering comes not from pain, but from our resistance to it. Buddhist wisdom reveals two fundamentally different ways people respond to difficulties. These aren't just abstract concepts. They explain why some transform through suffering, while others remain trapped in it. A skillful response begins with clear seeing. Those who respond skillfully don't deny their pain. They turn toward it with mindful awareness. They understand that suffering intensifies when we grasp at pleasant experiences and push away unpleasant ones. They take responsibility for their reactions rather than blaming circumstances. They recognize that while they cannot control what happens, they can control how they respond. An unskillful response is rooted in ignorance of suffering's true nature. Those who respond unskillfully either cling desperately to comfort or violently resist discomfort. They become identified with their pain, believing, "I am my suffering," rather than seeing suffering as a temporary experience. This approach keeps people cycling through the same patterns, perpetuating their pain. Here's the uncomfortable truth Buddha identified. Our suffering comes not primarily from our problems, but from our relationship to them. By anxiously seeking pleasant experiences and avoiding unpleasant ones, we strengthen the very causes of our suffering. While those who understand impermanence move through difficulties with grace, those who demand permanence remain trapped in frustration. So what does this mean for us? Should we resign ourselves to suffering? Or is there a middle path? To answer that, we must look deeper into the psychology of those who've mastered the art of transforming through difficulty, the ones who refuse to be victims of circumstance. Picture a vast wilderness where survival depends not on comfort, but on adaptation. In this environment, difficulties aren't obstacles, they're catalysts for evolution. The predator doesn't make the prey weaker, it makes it stronger, faster, more alert. Nature doesn't reward comfort seeking, it rewards those who can transform challenges into growth. Human consciousness follows a similar pattern. Beneath our pain, a profound intelligence is often at work. This isn't just spiritual poetry, it's psychological reality. Research on post-traumatic growth shows that people who face significant adversity often report becoming stronger, wiser, and more compassionate as a direct result. Psychologists have long studied why some people collapse under pressure while others transform through it. Time and again, we see the same pattern. Those who emerge strongest from suffering typically share a defining trait. They don't ask, "Why me?" but rather, "What now?" They don't curse their fate. They extract its wisdom. Consider the journeys of history's most influential teachers and innovators. The pattern is clear. Breakthrough usually follows breakdown. Capacity grows at the edges of comfort. This is why problems aren't random accidents. They're evolutionary invitations designed to expand consciousness beyond its current limitations. But here's the paradox. Our desperate attempts to control life often create more suffering than the problems themselves. The Buddha recognized that control itself is largely an illusion. We cannot prevent aging, avoid all loss, or ensure that everyone treats us well. What we can control is our relationship to these realities, how we interpret and respond to them. The mind that believes it should be able to prevent all problems will inevitably be crushed by anxiety. The heart that believes it should be protected from all pain will inevitably be broken by disappointment. This isn't pessimism, it's liberation from impossible expectations that only intensify our suffering. From childhood, we're told a comforting story, that life should be predictable, that good people should be protected from hardship, and that suffering is always an error to be corrected. But then, as we step into reality, a brutal contradiction emerges. The kindest hearts often face the greatest trials. The most honest people don't always succeed, and painful experiences continue to arise despite our best efforts. This disconnect is not a flaw in the system, it is the system. The concept of Dharma in Buddhism points to a natural order that includes both ease and difficulty, joy and sorrow, success and failure. This isn't punishment, it's simply the nature of an impermanent universe where nothing stays fixed. Psychological research has identified a phenomenon called resistance anxiety, the tendency to create additional suffering by fighting against what cannot be changed. Those who transform through suffering share core psychological traits. Psychologists call it psychological flexibility, the ability to adapt to changing circumstances without being defined by them. Time and again, we see the same patterns: present moment awareness, willingness to experience difficult emotions, and the ability to find meaning in struggle. Consider the lives of history's wisest teachers. The pattern is clear. Wisdom isn't born from comfort. It emerges from facing difficulty with consciousness rather than reactivity. This is why problems often precede awakening. They dissolve our attachments to how life should be. The strong aren't those who avoid suffering. They're those who learn to stay present within it. One of the most damaging beliefs in modern society is that the good life is the comfortable life. This illusion is reinforced everywhere. From media that showcases only happiness to spiritual teachings that suggest proper faith should shield us from difficulties. But this belief doesn't protect us. It only leaves us unprepared. The truth is, problems aren't evidence that you've failed or that life is against you. They're built into existence, not as punishments, but as invitations to evolve. The question is not whether you'll face difficulties, but whether you'll recognize their transformative potential. Many waste energy fighting against reality, wondering why things aren't different, when that same energy could be channeled toward growth. Throughout history and across traditions, chaos has preceded transformation. The caterpillar must dissolve completely before becoming a butterfly. Seeds must crack open before new life can emerge. Ancient wisdom traditions recognize that breakdown often precedes breakthrough. Your personal difficulties follow this same pattern. The job loss that seems disastrous may be clearing space for work better aligned with your purpose. The relationship breakdown that breaks your heart may be preparing you for deeper connection. The illness that limits you physically may be expanding you spiritually. The greatest mistake is assuming that growth should be comfortable. The moments that most define our lives are often those that initially feel like catastrophes. In Buddhist tradition, the path to enlightenment isn't about eliminating problems. It's about transforming our relationship to them. The Buddha discovered what he called the middle way, a path between the extremes of indulgence and austerity, between grasping and rejection. This middle way teaches us to neither cling to pleasant experiences nor push away unpleasant ones. This perspective transforms how we approach difficulties. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin to ask, "What might this be teaching me?" Instead of praying for easier circumstances, we pray for greater capacity. The focus shifts from changing external conditions to transforming internal consciousness. Research confirms what Buddhist practitioners have known. Resilience isn't about avoiding challenges, but about developing inner resources to face them with awareness. One of the most persistent illusions is the belief that life should be fair, that good people should be rewarded and difficult people should face consequences. Psychological research reveals the just world fallacy, the tendency to believe that people get what they deserve. This belief feels comforting, but leaves us vulnerable to disillusionment. Buddhist wisdom offers a more nuanced understanding. Life operates not according to our preferences for fairness, but according to innumerable causes and conditions, many beyond our comprehension. This doesn't mean abandoning ethics. It means recognizing that our limited understanding cannot grasp the full complexity of why things happen as they do. Does this mean we should passively accept whatever happens to us? Not at all. The key is understanding the difference between acceptance and resignation. Accepting reality doesn't mean we shouldn't work to improve it. It means approaching challenges differently, not as random catastrophes to be eliminated, but as meaningful encounters to be learned from. Those who suffer most are often caught between resistance and resignation, too attached to how things should be to accept reality, yet too defeated to take creative action within it. The middle path involves both acceptance of what is and skillful action toward what could be. Acceptance isn't about liking what happens, it's about acknowledging reality so we can respond wisely rather than react blindly. The Buddha saw this struggle as fundamental to human existence. His answer was not to eliminate problems or become helpless before them, but to develop a transcendent relationship with them. To understand this, we must explore one of Buddhism's most revolutionary ideas, non-attachment to outcomes while maintaining wholehearted engagement with life. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast mountain range. Behind you lies the world as you know it, filled with familiar problems and your habitual reactions. Before you lies an entirely different way of being, not problem-free, but free within problems. Most will hesitate, believing they must solve all their problems before they can find peace. But a few will realize the profound truth. Peace doesn't come from having no problems. It comes from no longer being identified with them. These are the ones who discover that they are not their difficulties, not their stories about their difficulties, but the aware presence witnessing it all. At the heart of Buddhism is mindfulness, the capacity to observe experience without being completely identified with it. Unlike passive acceptance or aggressive resistance, mindfulness offers a middle path of clear seeing that creates freedom within any circumstance. Unlike passive resignation or frantic control, non-attachment is about engaged acceptance, fully acknowledging reality while skillfully responding to it. The power of this approach comes not from external control, but from internal freedom, the freedom to choose response rather than react automatically. This is why those who truly understand suffering are neither defeated pessimists nor naive optimists. They don't expect constant happiness, nor do they anticipate constant pain. They simply meet each moment with presence, extracting its wisdom and responding with consciousness rather than conditioning. This is not indifference, It's full engagement without the distortion of desperate attachment or violent rejection. So how do we embody this wisdom? How do we navigate a world filled with difficulties while maintaining inner peace? The answer lies in understanding problems not as obstacles, but as portals, gateways to expanded consciousness. The next step is learning to relate to problems as teachers rather than enemies. Picture this: you're facing a challenge that seems insurmountable. If you approach it from conditioned patterns, you'll likely resist, blame, or collapse. But what if instead you asked, what is this trying to teach me? How might this be serving my evolution? One of the biggest shifts we can make is moving from why questions to what questions. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this showing me? What opportunity might be hidden within this difficulty? This simple pivot transforms your relationship to problems instantly. Many fail because they remain trapped in narratives of victimhood or blame. But suffering transforms when we take responsibility not for what happens to us, but for how we respond. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for your problems. It means claiming your power to grow through them. Most people are controlled by unconscious reactions to difficulty: fight, flight, freeze, or collapse. Buddhist mindfulness develops the capacity to create space between stimulus and response. This means observing your automatic reactions without being completely identified with them, creating freedom to choose a more conscious response. The most transformative individuals aren't those who avoid problems, but those who develop the capacity to stay present within them. This means cultivating the courage to feel difficult emotions fully without being overwhelmed by them, a skill that grows stronger with practice. There is a fundamental difference between pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable: the physical sensations of illness, the emotional ache of loss, the mental struggle of uncertainty. Suffering is what we add through resistance, judgment, and identification. The key is learning to experience pain cleanly, without the additional layers our reactive minds create. Times of difficulty require discernment, knowing when to accept what cannot be changed and when to take action toward what can. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. Sometimes the most powerful response to a problem is simply to be with it, allowing its lessons to emerge naturally, rather than forcing a premature solution. The reactive mind sees problems as obstacles to happiness. The creative mind sees them as raw materials for growth. While many waste energy fighting against reality, those who understand suffering's purpose channel that same energy into creation, whether it's building resilience, developing compassion, or discovering new solutions. The truly awakened approach to problems isn't just about enduring them, it's about transforming through them. When you create meaning from difficulty, you become indispensable to others facing similar challenges. Your suffering becomes not just personal growth, but a gift you can offer the world. So can you find peace in a world full of problems? Absolutely, but only if you stop expecting peace to come from problem-free circumstances and start discovering the peace that exists beyond your resistance to what is. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what might this be awakening in me? Stop waiting for perfect conditions and start meeting each moment, pleasant or painful, with presence and curiosity. The peace you seek doesn't require perfect circumstances. It requires transcending your attachment to how things should be. This brings us to the ultimate question. Are problems obstacles to happiness or doorways to awakening? Problems have gotten a bad reputation. We've been conditioned to see them as interruptions to our happiness, obstacles to be removed as quickly as possible. Yet throughout Buddhist wisdom, we find a radically different perspective. Difficulties aren't obstructions to our journey, they are the journey itself. The purpose of problems isn't to make us miserable, but to make us conscious, to wake us from the trance of automatic living into the full awareness of our deeper nature. Buddhism's exploration of suffering wasn't just about enduring pain, It was about transforming through it. The drive to eliminate problems is often misunderstood. It's not about creating a trouble-free existence. It's about transcending the mind that divides life into problems and non-problems in the first place. Yet throughout history, problems have often been linked to punishment. We've inherited frameworks that suggest difficulties come to us because we've done something wrong. This misunderstanding leaves us wondering, are problems punishments or teachers? Are they random accidents or meaningful encounters designed for our growth? Buddhism teaches that problems in their purest form aren't about making us suffer. They're about helping us awaken. They reveal aspects of ourselves that remain hidden during comfortable times. In a world where comfort is championed, the individual who willingly faces difficulty is often viewed with suspicion. But what if this is a misunderstanding? Buddhist teachers didn't see problems as obstacles to happiness. They were portals to a deeper understanding, opportunities to explore the limits of your resilience, compassion, and wisdom. In this light, problems become an ethical journey, challenging you to break free from conditioned reactions and to respond from your highest potential. But does this mean that everyone who faces problems will grow through them? Not necessarily. The path through difficulty can lead either to bitterness or to wisdom. The difference lies in how we meet our challenges. Do we use them as excuses to close down or as invitations to open up? Do we let them reinforce our limiting beliefs, or do we allow them to expand our understanding? The truth is this: problems themselves are neutral. They become growth opportunities or crushing defeats depending on how we relate to them. When viewed through awareness rather than reaction, even the most difficult circumstances can become doorways to a more awakened life. So are problems random accidents or meaningful teachers? Not inherently one or the other. They become what we make of them through our relationship to them. When approached with resistance, they reveal the darker aspects of our conditioning. But when met with awareness, they can lead to unimaginable growth. Buddhism's challenge to us is to rethink problems, not as something to fear, but as something to engage with fully. Opportunities for greater consciousness, deeper compassion, and more authentic living. By shifting our relationship to difficulty, we don't just solve problems. We transcend the problem-solving mind altogether, discovering a freedom beyond our usual categories of good and bad. If this exploration of problems and transformation has made you think, challenged your assumptions, and sparked curiosity about Buddhist wisdom, then make sure to subscribe to the Moon Mind Temple channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with those who need to hear this truth, and stay tuned for new content. Together, let's continue the journey toward understanding, growth, and the discovery of peace that transcends all problems.